Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Guys, in the world of politics, words like freedom and liberty often headline speeches, wave from podiums and echo through campaign trails. But in the United States today, those very words are under fresh scrutiny. President Donald Trump, now well into his second term, has unveiled two deeply controversial policies that have ignited outrage among civil rights advocates, legal scholars, and ordinary citizens alike. One, a proposal that threatens the foundational principle of habeas corpus, the centuries old right protecting individuals from arbitrary detention, and the other, a full scale reinstatement and enforcement of a ban on transgender individuals from serving in the US military, with a looming July deadline for expulsion. So, guys, these aren't just bureaucratic tweaks or marginal decisions. These are thunderclaps through America's legal and moral landscape. There is urgent cautions, not just about the legality of such actions, but about the direction of the nation itself. Is this a government securing its people or one expanding its power at the cost of individual rights? Is national security the motive, or is political ideology wearing its most aggressive face yet? So, guys, let's unpack these two developments in detail because their implications stretch far beyond the headlines. Let's begin with the first and more shadowy of the two, the possible suspension of the habeas corpus. Now, for those less familiar with this, habeas corpus is not just a Latin phrase buried in old legal scrolls, it's the legal bedrock of modern democratic jurisprudence. The right of a detainee to appear before a judge and challenge the legality of their imprisonment. It's what stands between a functioning democracy and an authoritarian regime. And now, under the Trump administration, this cornerstone is facing a potential temporary dismantling. Reports also indicate that senior advisors to the president have floated the idea of suspending habeas corpus in cases involving individuals classified as national security threats. The rationale of this idea is, according to insiders, it is to expedite justice and ensure national safety in turbulent times. But critics argue this is a slippery slope that removing judicial oversight opens the door to unlawful detention, political persecution, and an erosion of due process. Legal experts are also raising the alarms. The last time habeas corpus was suspended in the United States was during the Civil War under Abraham Lincoln, a time of genuine internal conflict. To consider such a drastic measure today in peacetime raises the important question: what qualifies as a threat in the eyes of the administration? And more troublingly, who gets to decide that? Civil rights organizations, including the ACLU and Human Rights Watch, have already promised legal challenges if such a suspension is formally declared. They argued that under no constitutional reading does the president have the power to nullify habeas corpus without the congressional approval, and even then, only in cases of rebellion or invasion. None of this apply today. So, guys, this move many believe is a part of broader trend under Trump's second term, an increasing concentration of executive power, a diminishing trust in judicial independence, and a growing culture of policy through decree rather than the debate. But if the habeas corpus debate wasn't enough, the administration has simultaneously lit another fuse. This one targeting the very identity and service of transgender Americans. In early May itself, the Department of Defense confirmed that under presidential directive, all transgender individuals actively serving in the US military must be honorably discharged by July 7, 2025. The policy marks a full circle movement from Trump's earlier efforts in his first term to bar transgender people from enlisting. But this time, it doesn't stop at recruitment. It reaches into the ranks and demands removal. For the estimated 13,000 transgender individuals currently serving, many of them decorated veterans, many having served in combat, this order is also devastating. It not only serves their careers but also casts a shadow over their patriotism, their sacrifice, and their identity. Medical privacy is also no longer a shield. The Department of Defense has reportedly begun requesting detailed health records, including hormone therapy documentation and transition related procedures, to identify those who fall under the new policy. This scrutiny is invasive. The fear is real, and the public backlash is also mounting. LGBTQ plus advocacy groups have condemned the move as a state sanctioned discrimination, likening it to past areas where individuals were purged from public services because of who they were, whether it was the lavender scare of the 1950s or the don't ask, don't tell era. And here we are again watching identity become grounds for the exclusion. Guys, proponents of this ban claim it is about military readiness, unit cohesion, and medical cost. Arguments that were thoroughly debunked by the military studies conducted during the Obama administration, which concluded that transgender services had no significant impact on the operational effectiveness. So, why revisit it now? Many believe it's about the politics. Red meat policies for a conservative base, a show of strength wrapped in the language of order, a calculated culture war maneuver designed not for the policy effectiveness but for the political spectacle. And yet, while the administration tightens its grip on what it calls national security, it seems to be alienating the very people who have stood in the uniform to protect the nation and curbing rights that once seemed untouchable. So, what makes these two moves, the threat to the habeas corpus and the transgender ban, so alarming is not just their substance but their timing. They come at a moment when democratic institutions in the US are already strained, when trust in the government is fraying, and when the political divide is reaching the new depths. They are acts not of the governance, many would argue, but of assertion, declaration of who holds the power and who does not. So, guys, in the coming weeks, these decisions will be fought in the courtrooms, on the floors of Congress, and perhaps even in the streets. The backlash is building, lawsuits are being drafted, protests are being organized, but the damage, some fear, may already be done, not just to the individuals but to the moral authority of the institution themselves. What happens when a nation founded on liberty decides it can suspend liberty when it feels threatened? What happens when patriotism is judged not by the action but by gender identity? And more importantly, how do we as a society respond? The Trump's administration recent moves has stirred the pot, but this is more than a controversy. It is a crossroads. The America that emerges from these decisions will tell us a lot about what kind of country that really is and what kind it wants to be. So, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you believe these issues deserve attention, don't just scroll past, share, comment your thoughts, and make your voice heard. I'm Lakhan Tanwani, and I will sign off and we'll see you in the next video.